regional championships win, EUIC top 8 recently, and at the finals at a special event too. So Tord is continuing to perform at a high level. We see right there on screen that Urshifu VMAX along with Cheryl. Maybe not necessarily what we're going to see this time around. There are a lot of answers to that on the other side of the board.
Yeah, but once that Hoopa V does get cleared off the board, it is something you could see happen. Maybe. We're going to see a much different strategy than what we saw from him in the top 8, where it's just all those darkness types. But on the other side, we see Parker, as you mentioned, did get 9th in Secaucus just a week ago, following this up with the finals appearance. Maybe a victory if he can win this match, and another regional performance there as well. Coming in hot with Arceus V-Star and those crushing hammers.
Yeah, and we saw Tord on the other side of the table really avoiding crushing hammers and giving them usefulness. Justin Kari also doing a similar thing. So interested to see if Tord takes that information now and starts to manipulate that, make sure that he gets the most use out of energies when possible.
Just excited to get this one moving. You can't ask for much more. This was maybe our best match from the first day. Came down to a wire, arguably came down to a crushing hammer flip. And will Tord be able to overcome the Hoopa V, the crushing hammers, the fan of waves, all the disruption, all the Marnies? Or will Parker be able to take this one home and kind of be the hero of this tournament?
Yeah, I think one of those unsung heroes in both these players' deck, the Oranguru, is something that's really snuck onto the scene, and just having the knowledge that Marnie is going to be such a big card this weekend, and having that both players are going to be using that now, trying to make sure that they've got plays for days.
All right, looks like we are getting set up. Parker will be going first in game 1. Did hear him win the die roll and say, I'll go first, and Tord nodded. So Parker will be kicking things off. Looks like both players, well, at least one player has a basic Pokemon. Looks like Tord has a Sobble, so.
Yeah, Tord has a couple of them. He's just checking it out.
We do see the trademark Celebi hanging out for Tord, his favorite Pokemon. He's got that plushie with him as a good luck charm. And nothing huge. Always a little bit ironic to see the Peonia in the prize cards, but otherwise just a crushing hammer. Nothing huge, one Sobble. But overall, both these players probably not going to be upset with what's in there.
Oh, we love to see that. Going to be playing some nice, fair Pokemon here.
I think so. Just about ready to kick things off here in the finals for the Pokemon TCG Regional Championships here in Vancouver. The fist bump, and let's go. Finals time here in Vancouver. Parker going to kick things off with that Arceus V against Tord Sobble.
All right, and we do see Parker immediately starting with that Arceus V and the double turbo energy.
Yeah, don't have to worry about fan of waves anymore.
Well, this is a pretty solid start over for Parker. He does have a supporter in that Professor's Research. He has the Arceus V-Star and the energy, so Tord is going to have to give it a good effort here, and we see the Sobble start with the Energy Surge.
Yep, so this is one of the decks where prize cards matters the most. There's lots of single copies of cards, so I'm sure Tord will be using this opportunity to check through, try to see if anything notable is prized. I think one of the biggest cards you're always looking for with this deck is Raihan, making sure that's in there, seeing how many Urshifu or Rapid Strike energy you have. Things like Choice Belt can be really impactful. And then you always want to check for, really bizarre things that can happen, like all of my Drizzile are prized, or, 2 or 3 of them are prized, something like that. So we're going to see, typically a lengthy deck search on the first one. And Kyle, what do you think is Tord's plan for this one? Obviously, we're going to see a keep calling on this turn to get 3 Pokemon down. But Tord had mentioned to me that Hoopa V is really difficult for him to deal with. So how do you think he can go about dealing with it this time?
Yeah, Tord's strategy has been Hoopa on Hoopa action. That's been his answer. Just a nice, safe 1-prize Pokemon, getting that initial 90 damage down onto that Hoopa V, and then hopefully finding an answer maybe in an Urshifu that's a pretty safe play after you already see the Hoopa V fall. So Tord would only potentially lose 1 or 2 prize cards in a Sobble and a Hoopa, and start to find his answers afterwards with that Urshifu.
Keep calling is the attack used. Can find 3 basic Rapid Strike Pokemon. A little bit unusual, finds 3 different Rapid Strike Pokemon. Rapid Strike Urshifu V, Sobble, and the Remoraid. Might see the fish this time.
We love fish, yeah. Finding that Octillery eventually, too, it just opens up a bunch of different avenues. Finding those Rapid Strike energies, which is typically a card that's so hard to search out in this deck. Tord is dedicating the bench space and the deck slots to finding that Octillery and getting these Pokemon out and all these Rapid Strike cards whenever necessary.
Yeah, it's also good defense against Marnie. Tord had mentioned that one of the biggest problems for this deck has been Marnie. Just throwing your hand to the bottom of the deck. If you don't draw a way to find a Drizzile or Inteleon, then everything could fall apart. It's a deck that doesn't typically have things on board. You need to be searching for things every turn. So when you can have the Octillery, just to have that one search every turn, it goes a long way. Professor's research from Parker. He's going to be looking for the Arceus V-Star. I don't see it, though. Oh, wait, it's evolved already. Kyle, it's late in the day.
It was hiding in front of us the whole time. Yeah, now this is absolutely perfect for Parker. He found a lot of what he would ideally want from Starbirth off of the research in that Dunsparce having some protection, and now he's really just going to focus on finding that Hoopa so that he has a nice Pokemon to charge up with the Arceus V-Star, and then maybe you can get tricky with this additional slot here.
Yeah, Parker's set up kind of the trifecta for this matchup. You got the Dunsparce for your weakness, you got the Manaphy for the bench damage, and shortly will be the Hoopa V to hit for weakness against Rapid Strike Urshifu V. If any one of these cards is ever prized for Parker, it does weaken his defense a bit against this matchup because all 3 of them are important in their own ways. If Tord can hit for weakness, the Arceus is easier to take down. If Tord can G-Max Rapid Flow, he can hit Dunsparce and another Pokemon at the same time. And maybe the most important one is the Hoopa. That's the thing that threatens the Urshifu for a knockout. So all 3 of these single copies of cards are very important. And right now, in this game, Parker has access to all of them. But as the series progresses, those are the cards I'm going to be looking for and see what's prized.
Yeah, you have to commit when you're building this deck to having all of these answers to the Urshifu. It's just not worth it if you don't go for it all. And sure enough, we do see that Hoopa V is going to get all of these energies ready to go. We are not going to see Celebi on the other side. It is just a plushie this time around.
It is a bit funny. You'd think that Tord, of all people, would come up with this Celebi tech. Yeah, another one I thought of was the Tropius. You can Raihan to it and rally back to knock out a Hoopa V. There's all sorts of weird grass Pokemon you can use.
I am not a banana neck gamer, and I am not going to pretend to be.
Okay, so the first knockout has been taken by Parker. And again, this is a difficult situation to deal with. Tord's actually going to send up the Rapid Strike Urshifu V. You know, if the Dunsparce weren't there, you could do something like Raihan, attach a Rapid Strike energy, and use 100 Furious Blows. But with no access to that, gotta wonder what his plan of attack will be.
Yeah, so often you see the Sobble as the promotion, and then you know eventually you're going to be using that scoop up net, and maybe that's how you sneak a Pokemon into the active slot. But maybe just a couple extra pieces are required to get the ball rolling here if you wanted to potentially damage the Hoopa. Finding that boss's orders and the additional Hoopa, the energy, it's a lot to ask for, and maybe Tord just is going to need an extra turn to get things going.
So we do see the first shady dealings from Drizzile. Allows you to search your deck for any trainer card. Looks like he's eyeing up an Evolution Incense at the moment. Again, doesn't seem like there's any great attacks into the active Pokemon. It always feels bad in this matchup when you're hitting Arceus V-Star but not knocking it out. But let's see what Tord has lined up. Looks like he's pulling a Raihan to the front as well. I think ideally you would go for a boss's orders this turn. Maybe hit into the Hoopa V.
Yep.
But does Tord have access to that? Okay, just going to be the Raihan. What's the plan here?
Oh. Got to be thinking that energy is going active. It doesn't make much sense elsewhere. But where would that get you? And yeah, I guess we're going to wait a minute. Well, let's find out where this goes afterwards, because the energy is going active here. And yes, you can deal 150 damage. You could also be looking into strafe, but then you're going to be dealing with just a boss's orders to remove a highly sought-after Pokemon.
Yep, we do see Raihan going for the Octillery. Since he's probably just going to find a Rapid Strike energy anyway, may as well get the Octillery up and running. For future turns, you can use Rapid Strike search to search for the Rapid Strike energy. Yeah, I have to imagine we're just going to see 100 Furious Blows, which does not seem ideal here. Again, Dunsparce removing the weakness on all colorless type Pokemon in play. So we will not be seeing a one-hit knockout from this attack. Just 150 damage, and maybe this is just setting up for Galarian Moltres later in the game.
Yeah, the damage can be relevant. We could see that eventually with some quick shooting as well. Maybe another Urshifu VMAX comes down. You start flowing after a Manaphy disappears. But it does feel like suboptimal to be getting this damage onto the Arceus, knowing that Hoopa is just waiting in the wings for you.
And we do have to remember, I think Tord has one Sobble in the prize cards. So one got knocked out on the second turn. That leaves him just with access to 2 Sobble throughout the game at this point. So it's going to be tougher to string together lots of shady dealings. It'll be tougher, honestly, to ever use quick shooting. You really are going to have to rely on shady dealings a lot. So the lack of that extra Sobble might come into play here.
We are going to see the Drizzile, so at least the Inteleon plays start to line up here. But yeah, this is going for the quick ball, and maybe we'll start to see an additional Pokemon lineup, perhaps that Hoopa like we were talking about earlier.
All right, so let's take a look at what Tord's going to do next. There's always so many options with this deck. And yeah, there is the Sobble in the prize cards, so I have to think Tord would have gone for that, but doesn't have the option, and just going to have the 100 Furious Blows for 150. Not a great turn, even though it was, you know, a good turn. Like Raihan, you powered up a 3 energy attack, but doesn't really advance the game very much.
Yeah, it looks good until you look at your opponent's bench and you go, oh man, that's a big Hoopa.
But you just got to do something at this point. You can't sit around and do nothing. You know Parker's going to take knockouts every turn from here on out.
Yep. You can hope that Parker plays down a path to the peak and shuts off his ability.
So let's see. We do see a Charon's Care lined up for Parker if he wants to go for that. Yep.
Yeah, that looks so clean.
Just going to undo Tord's entire attack. Send up the Hoopa V. Start charging up another Arceus V-Star on the bench. And everything's coming up Parker so far.
Yep, that was something that Tord probably didn't want to see. He understands that this knockout was likely to happen. And now you can start seeing what Tord might be lining up here. There are 3 prizes taken from Parker. That means that a Galarian Moltres is hitting for 170. Maybe you find that choice belt along with quick shooting Inteleon, and you can take this knockout. Hoopa's just such a tough Pokemon to take in one hit.
Yeah, the 220 HP, certainly an awkward number to deal with. Yeah, you can get Galarian Moltres at this point. Fiery Wrath doing 170. You can piece together a turn where you get a choice belt and then a quick shooting Inteleon and get a knockout here. But it's so many cards to have.
Yeah.
Also, you would then have to commit one of your Drizzile to turn into a quick shooting Inteleon instead of the Shady Dealings one, which means you have even fewer resources to work with.
Well, it just popped into the hand by way of Oranguru.
That is helpful.
And that might make this a tad bit easier if that is to be the play.
Yeah, there's already Scoop Up Nets in hand. Let's see, are there any 2 trainer cards that actually get the job done here? I already got the Quick Ball as well. You can get a choice belt, but you can only get 2 energy cards, I think.
You can go Sonya and Energy Search. Just grab them all, but you can't grab the belt.
Right.
I think we're seeing an issue.
See, I think this may be a turn where You just accept you're not going to get a knockout. Maybe there's something I'm not thinking about. We see Cynthia's Ambition. That's a card that just draws you a lot of other cards.
That is a very safe answer. When you don't have it, just see if your deck will give it to you.
And maybe Tord feels like he has to reach at this point. I think you can either get an attack off with the Moltres, but you can get an attack off, but you can't get the Choice Belt too, just with 2 cards. So there's a Rapid Strike Search from Octillery as well. That won't be helping so much here. You can, I guess, grab fodder to discard for Quick Ball, but yeah, it looks like just a Level Ball and a Cynthia's Ambition. Not what you love to see at this point.
Yep, just taking a card to discard with Quick Ball is not the most optimal, but of course, when in this position, you just got to make sure that all of your draws are just a tad bit more live by thinning out one more.
Yeah, looks like a Hoopa from Tord. This may be the only thing he can reasonably attack with at this point. And maybe the long-term plan is to just line up some Yoga Loops. Maybe hope that at some point you can Yoga Loop and that Metacham won't get knocked out. And then take a turn off and then Yoga Loop later. I don't know. It's a long road ahead.
Yeah, it is a little bit easier when you do have that Octillery. You have access to that Rapid Strike energy, which is always something that typically eludes players in that middle or late stage. But we're asking a lot of this Cynthia's Ambition. I do like hedging the bet with the Hoopa down just in case this doesn't work out.
Well,
I don't even see an energy.
I don't think that worked out.
That was, yeah.
I think that might be it. I don't know if you can get through this game with not attacking this turn. Yeah, there's no energy card. You can Rapid Strike Search for something. Guess you can strafe.
Yeah.
Gets a little damage on the board.
I mean, this would be the turn, right? If your opponent doesn't have a boss's orders, maybe we are at a situation where you just need to play into those awkward percentages and hope that maybe you can get something rolling on your side.
Yeah, it just seems so unlikely at this point. Parker's got so many cards in hand.
Access to Luminian, there is no path down. Yeah, it's a hard ask.
Yeah, but Tord is going to put down the Rapid Strike Urshifu V. Scoop up net. Can see a quick shooting as well. Put 2 damage counters somewhere. Would assume they'll go on to the Dunsparce to set up for a potential Yoga Loop play.
That is an ideal place to put it. Starts to open up plays onto the Arceus V-Star later on too.
Okay, no, just going to go on the active. Quick shooting for 2, and then strafe for 30. Switch into the Hoopa, and say, please don't have boss's orders.
I actually just, okay. I was like, where in the world is it? Sure enough, it's buried in the pile of full art supporters there. And that is going to be tough to come back from.
I don't think it's possible to come back at this point.
It would have to involve removing energies from play, Yoga looping one of these Pokemon off the board that's ready to take a one-hit knockout.
Because I think both Rapid Strike Urshifu are down at this point, and Tord does not play Ordinary Rod, so there's no way to get them back and then Raihan at the same time. Unless I'm missing something, which I might be. I don't know what there is.
Well, Tord's going to take a look, obviously. 6-1 prize cards, not a place you love to be. But 75 minutes in this situation, you have plenty of time. We've only seen a few minutes tick off that clock so far, about 16, 17. So why not give it 1 or 2 minutes and ultimately come to the conclusion that we should probably shuffle our cards up.
Yeah, let's see. What are the options here for Tord? I don't think there's any like weird special conditions or anything where you can buy a turn.
I guess the only thing that you can try to do is work in like a Palpad, Raihan, Urshifu, knockout on the active, and then just hope your opponent doesn't find boss again. It's the only Pokemon that has enough hit points. Clara's not going to help do that. Maybe Galarian Moltres would have? enough.
Yeah, Galarian Moltres V was
By 10?
Was the one that you could have gotten a knockout with and then not gotten hit back in return. Does require the Pal Pad to shuffle in Raihan, though.
So Raihan is definitely the ticket to keeping something around.
Level Ball gets nothing here. There's a Tower of Waters in hand that can... Asking the player to shuffle a bit more. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what Tord can even put into play that doesn't get knocked out.
Yeah. It feels weird, but you're at that point. You know, there's one prize left. You need to just put down a Pokemon with enough hit points. If it can take a knockout here, fantastic. That's basically the only way that you can continue on to the next turn.
Okay, we see Primate Wisdom getting a Darkness Energy, and yep, that'll do it. Aggressively scooping up the cards. So Parker will take game number 1. So far, he is undefeated against Tord in games. Even though the match yesterday was epic and close, it was a 2-0 victory. So right now, if you're Parker, you gotta be feeling good. You've won 3 games against this guy. You're in the finals. Just gotta win one more, and you're taking home all the gold and that beautiful medal.
Yeah, I'm putting that on my job resume. It's like who's Tord? No, trust me, this is important.
Defeated Tord Reklev in 4 individual games in 1 weekend.
And he has the proof. He attaches the VOD to it afterwards, too. Go ahead, check it out. I'm pretty impressive.
Yeah, so obviously that was a very decisive victory for Parker. I don't think Tord took a prize card that game, but obviously these games, the prize cards don't always tell the story. It's much closer than it looks.
Yep.
Tord just was unable to piece together all the right cards at the right time. Parker did his thing.
All aboard.
And there we go. The celebratory cruise ship horn for Parker's victory in game 1.
You know, a real nice way to spend $5,000. just in case he was wondering what to do with it.
Just preemptively spent money on it.
Mom, I'm not going to be home this weekend.
I hope we get that for every game.
Well, you did mention earlier that there are 3 very important cards in Parker's deck, and if they are in the prize cards, this can be a completely different game. We are playing 2, potentially 3 games here, and Parker has an opportunity to not see those cards at the right time, and that makes me interested to see what are you going to see on the prize cam in the coming seconds.
Definitely. So this is an interesting matchup. It's not clear to me if you want to go first or second in this one. If you're Tord, which one are you picking?
It's that debate again. If you find Snorlax, it feels really good to go first. Any other time, you want to go second. You want to just let Sobble do his thing, and you get to play from behind and start to work on that counter strategy. So I guess you go second because never lucky.
It's nice to keep calling on turn 1. Really smooths out your deck.
Yep.
So I can see the argument for going second. I think it's probably a little less clear-cut than it is in other matchups, though.
Right.
All right, so we do see the Remoraid and the Tower of Waters in the prize cards for Tord this time. So no Octillery this game, probably. Otherwise, nothing too terrible. And here's the moment of truth for Parker.
Hold your breath.
What do we got?
All right.
Moving them all at once.
We got a trickster.
Ooh.
It's good so far.
Nothing.
That's clean.
One crushing hammer as usual. All right, so Tord did opt to go second in game number 2. Gets the ideal Sobble start.
Oh my, this hand is gas. Are you kidding me? Has the research again, the double turbo, the ultra ball. This is going to be another turn for Parker.
Yeah, sick one for Tord too. Gonna play Peonia.
No.
Honestly,
wow.
this is, I mean, those
are good.
In terms of Peonia, that was excellent, yeah. If there's ever an opportunity where you're going to play that card, turn 1 is actually pretty good. You're not going to do much anyway. This is not a deck that's going to play Professor's Research. It's not trying to like do Melanie combos or Marnie the opponent. You're just trying to build up resources. So this is honestly the best window to play this card. It's, as long as you have Sobbled to keep calling, it doesn't really matter what supporter you play on your first turn with this deck.
Yeah, the information is also really nice to have. Tord's going to know at least 3 of these cards, and then when he's searching through his deck on the initial search with that level ball coming up soon, where he's probably going to get even more information, probably be able to eye up what those top 3 cards are in the prizes.
Puts back Clara, Level Ball, and Cynthia's Ambition. Clara is an interesting one. I have to think that'll come up later in the game, so he knows that's going to be there. Might be a prize card he grabs for at some point. And the hand's got to be pretty strong if you're putting a Level Ball back.
Yeah, that's a pretty good card. Maybe that's just a nod that the keep calling is going to be the play here, and maybe there's just enough Drizzile to keep the ball rolling on turn 2.
Yeah, he did keep Evolution Incense, and maybe you just don't need a lot of Level Balls here. You want to keep 1 so you can get a Sobble and then keep calling for 3 more Pokemon. Fill up the bench the best you can. But yeah, so far this seems like a pretty strong start for Tord. Just kind of setting aside the Pokemon he's about to keep calling for, so he'll separate out those 3 cards, probably attach the energy, and then go right back in. So this, you may not like it, but this is the ideal start for this deck. As long as you get an energy attachment onto the Sobble and keep calling, that's all you need.
Yep, we do see all of the Sobble coming down now. The Rapid Strike Urshifu V can always start to threaten some big plays here on the Arceus V. Just making Parker need every one of those combination cards that we're talking of. Maybe hold back on Manaphy if you can't, but there's certainly Hoopa and Dunsparce start to look really good here.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Parker's hand looked pretty good. I think we may see an ideal turn 2 for him once again, just getting everything. Of course, Starbirth helps you search for any 2 cards. Sometimes that's not enough.
Oh, just draws Dunsparce too. Are you kidding me?
All right. Well,
this deck's good.
Even opts to throw away a Marnie. Wow. You know what? I think my start's so good, I'm not even going to try to disrupt you.
I don't care about you. I'm going to play my deck, and I'm just going to be fine.
All right. Step 1, Arceus V-Star complete. Yeah, he's going to play out his entire hand, huh?
Yeah. Do you think we go for the high 5 or the fist bump here?
Probably not.
I don't know if Tord's in the mood.
So yeah, Ultra Ball does find the Arceus V-Star. I'm pretty sure he's not going to play it on every card. Okay, so it doesn't even warrant a high 5.
Oh, thank goodness.
But yeah, this is really all you can ask for.
Yep. Ultra Ball 2. You
can find the Manaphy. You can find the Hoopa. What more do you need? Throw away the big Parasol, which isn't doing much in this matchup. Paul's a fan of Waves, which also probably won't do much, but if it does, you got 2 more.
Yep. Usually when energies come down, they're on Pokemon that probably can get knocked out. Hoopa will make sure of that, at least against this Urshifu V.
I'll be going back in. Starbirth?
Yep, there we do see the V-Star power used. The marker has been flipped. Going to use Starbirth, search for 2 cards, put them into his hand. And if you're Tord, you're probably thinking, just don't have Hoopa once.
Can this guy stop? Yep, we see the Manaphy. And honestly, this last card is probably a free roll. Yeah, just going to go ahead and grab Sharon's Care. Just on the off chance that Tord goes for that 150 again, he can literally mirror exactly how Game 1 went.
All right. The 3 amigos are back. Dunsparce, Manaphy, and Hoopa V.
Trinity Nova?
And there's the Trinity Nova knocking out the Sobble. This is essentially a replay of Game 1 so far, except there's 1 extra Sobble this time.
Well, maybe Tord just was missing 1 extra Sobble. And
Certainly possible.
it can be relevant, honestly. You were talking about it earlier. Just having access off that scoop up net to be able to play down the Inteleon and then work in one of those extra Drizzile, like that can be a big factor.
Yeah, I wonder if Tord is going to go for the same play. It obviously did not work the last time. But depending on what his hand looks like, I don't know if he has many other options. There's only 4 cards. Already got the Evolution Incense and Rapid Strike Energy.
His hand is telling him to do the exact same thing because he has the Raihan as well. He's got all of the same cards.
There is a Drizzile and an Evolution Incense this time, though. And with that extra Sobble, you can do things like Scoop Up Net just to move the active Drizzile out, and then lay it back down on another Sobble to get another trainer card. So this could be a situation where Tord has enough resources to grab like Hoopa plus Boss's Orders, maybe go after the opponent's Hoopa V, or maybe even, I don't know, go after Manaphy or Dunsparce. But traditionally we've seen these Urshifu players try to go after that Hoopa V as fast as possible.
Yeah, if you can work on a Dunsparce later on by way of quick shooting and eventually that Yoga Loop, that feels ideal. But Hoopa is a scary Pokemon. It basically shuts off one of your best attackers because it exists. And we are not going to see the Boss's Orders this time around. Instead, Sonia's going to just grab likely some energies.
I think we're going for Pokemon. This looks
Ooh,
like a
big
Snorlax turn. Yeah, it's not ideal. Saw Tord eyeing up the Oranguru as well. But I don't think he's going to be able to get a big attack off. And if that's the case, may as well just try to build up resources and set up for the next turn. It's maybe one of those times where you're just trying to evolve up as many Sobble into Drizzile as you can and give yourself options for quick shooting and Yoga Loops and things like that. Yeah, that's just one of the weird quirks of this deck. Sometimes if you don't have good enough attacks lined up, you just take a turn off, which is a bizarre concept in the current state of the Pokemon TCG. Normally it's once turn 2 hits, it's go, 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 attack as much as you can. But sometimes in these matchups, with this kind of deck, you can just sit back and try to set up as much as you can.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. It's unfortunate that a Boss's Orders really just continues to haunt Tord in these situations if Parker were to have it, and we know he is he's holding on to that, of course.
So he's got it. When he needed it most, the Boss's Orders was always there for Parker this weekend.
Yep, either sitting in the hand or waiting on the top.
All right, we're going to see one more Shady Dealings from Tord, getting a Scoop Up Net for the following turn. I assume he'll fill the bench. Curious to see if he'll attach an energy. I don't see any reason not to at this point. Just so you can draw an extra card off of Gorman Dies.
Yep, if you do throw the Rapid Strike Energy onto the Urshifu, one of the worst things that could happen is Crushing Hammer, of course, but maybe they fan of waves and you'll just find it later on.
Yeah, it might just get knocked out anyway.
Yeah, honestly, Boss's Orders is looking really good here.
Okay, so Tord is setting up the ideal hand here, and he is doing something that's pretty clever, saying, okay, you can Marnie me, but if you Marnie, then you don't Boss's Orders. If you boss, then I get to keep my almost perfect 7 cards. So Parker is going to go straight away. Tord's going to toss up that Urshifu, and we're going to see Hoopa V, thanks to that two-faced ability, is Psychic type. Shadow Impact knocks out the active Pokemon, and he's going to take 2 prize cards, so this is looking exactly like the first game. Can Tord respond this time, though? The difference this time, he has 2 Drizzile in play. He has access to multiple Inteleon. We got Scoop Up Nets. His hand is loaded, but is there a play he can do to make something happen?
Yeah, we see Energy Search. It's an additional card that might be able to help out with this Moltres play, if that has to be the play again. It just seems like the only logical way to hit that nice 220 number.
Yep, gonna need the Galarian Moltres, the Choice Belt, and a quick shooting to take out this Hoopa in one turn. course, you're going to need all the energy cards as well. So this is where that one turn off of using Gormandize sets yourself up to do bigger things in following turns. This is the deck that gets stronger as your opponent takes more prize cards. You have the Galarian Moltres Fiery Wrath, does 50 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. And with the addition of things like Choice Belt to the standard format, a lot of the math on when these things can come into play and get one-hit knockouts has changed significantly.
Yeah, just being able to soften up targets as well by way of that quick shooting can be really nice.
Or discards.
Dark energy, yeah.
Darkness energy. I wonder if he's going to go for Galarian Moltres V this turn. With a Choice Belt, you could knock out the Hoopa V, and you know that Parker's already committed the Air Balloon to the Arceus V-Star, so there's no threat of a Choice Belt. But it looks like just a Metacham V. This could be, well, we could still see that play, but we might make a pit stop for Yoga Loop first.
Yeah, it's I mean, we saw the Raihan already played, or is that hold it? I think that's already been played, so it would have to be.
He played Sonya last turn.
Oh, I'm thinking like we already went for the same play as the last game. Nope, that is so that could certainly be an option now.
Yeah, it looks like we are entering Yoga Loop at this point. Dunsparce come to bargain. He's gonna quick shooting twice. Yoga Loop take an extra turn. All right, and this is one of the many combos and tricky plays you can pull off with this deck. Toward just seeing if he's got all the resources to do everything he needs to do. So step one will be quick shooting, put 2 damage counters on the Dunsparce. Then you would scoop up net, put the Inteleon back into your hand, play it down onto a new Drizzile, quick shooting again onto the Dunsparce, and then use Yoga Loop with Metacham V. Puts the final 2 damage counters on the Dunsparce, which does enough to knock it out, but no, looks like a change of plans. We're going to see quick shooting to the active. What comes next then? Just scoop up net, picking up the Inteleon, and not played a supporter yet.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very telling.
Whoa, going for a Rapid Strike Urshifu V. I guess with enough damage modifiers, you can 100 Furious Blows with all the quick shooting Choice Belt. And that's going to take away the Hoopa V, so this is one of the Pokemon that cannot be knocked out by Parker on the following turn.
Yeah, this looked like it was going to be really difficult to reach. Instead, Tord is definitely going to get there. The fighting energy off of the Raihan, going ahead and searching out that Choice Belt, and has the Rapid Strike energy in hand. That's 180, and you just need to get that quick shooting down one more time.
Wow. All right, yeah, he's going to do it all.
Urshifu finally looking under the bed and taking care of that monster that's been haunting it.
Just to recap, so there's going to be a 150 damage attack from Rapid Strike Urshifu V, which is 70 short of knocking out Hoopa V, but 2 damage counters from a quick shooting, 2 more damage counters, sets you to 4. Choice Belt makes that 180 damage, and you know what all that adds up to? 220.
Math.
All right. These are the options you have. This is not the first, second, third, or fourth thing I would have thought of, but this is one of the options, and this is where Tord's experience with this deck pays off. This is not a line that I think most people would have gone for, but this is what gets you the knockout, and it makes a ton of sense. On the next turn, Parker does not have any immediate way to get a knockout. So Tord is going to take this 2-prize knockout. He'll take a prize card, expertly dodges the Remoraid.
It's like he knew, but he didn't.
This game's going to get a lot trickier now. You know, Parker kind of ran away with the first one, but this one, now it gets way more complicated. Of course, you can always go for 2-hit knockouts on things. But he's at 3 prize cards. There's no way to knock out this active Pokemon immediately. What's your game plan? I don't know if you can do much besides just keep announcing Trinity Nova. But how do you prevent Tord from doing more crazy stuff on the following turns?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it doesn't seem like knockouts are going to be something that you can really start lining up. You're going to just have to attack into these Pokemon naturally and keep using Trinity Nova. But this is a part where Parker's deck kind of falls off. The energies aren't always there when you start to charge up for that Trinity Nova. Maybe the numbers don't line up too well for Sharon's Care because Tord is going to expertly be placing these damage counters, trying to manipulate ways where Parker doesn't find the optimal line. And you always know what to expect from Parker from this point on. It's going to be 180 over and over and over again.
Well, looks like Parker doesn't have much going on here. Just going to see the Trinity Nova, 180 damage. Charge up that Arceus V on the bench. We'll see how much fuel Tord has left in his hand after that massive combo turn.
For just the one?
Almost feels like a Rapid Strike Malamar deck where it's like you depleted your hand pulling off a giant attack, and now what's left for the next turn? How do you fill back up?
It is exhaustive.
Now it's back to Tord. This is where you could see something like Cheryl come into play, but that would involve evolving into the VMAX. It's also a bit awkward because you have to get rid of all the energy. Don't have much lined up either in terms of follow-up attackers. This is going to be a tricky one for Tord as well.
Yeah, if there were the second Drizzile down, it just wasn't something that was possible last turn. Maybe you could see the Yoga Loop maybe sneaking onto the board, and it gets pretty wild when it's just a Dunsparce there, and then you get to start targeting on that fighting weakness on the Arceus V-Star. So this might be a nice turn for Tord to reset if he can remove the damage here and bring up something to at least provide this Arceus just 1 prize instead of 2. I feel like that's the line that Tord needs to find.
A lot of this comes down to if Parker has Charon's Care at some point, I think. One potential path you could look at for Tord is you would end up sacrificing your active Pokemon, but if you can boss his orders on the Manaphy, start to quick shooting on the Dunsparce to set up for a Yoga Loop turn, you could potentially get your 4 prize cards that way. There's so many avenues for this deck to go through. Looks like quick shooting won't be the path this turn. And we are going to see Cheryl lined up. So we'll probably see something like Retreat, then Cheryl off the energy. You have to evolve first because Cheryl can only heal evolved Pokemon, of course. Then follow up with a Scoop Up Net. But that only gets you to a Gale Thrust, which isn't getting a knockout. And again, that's where that Charon's Care comes in.
Yeah, that it doesn't feel the best. And it's going to go ahead and leave this Inteleon in the active spot. Maybe something that can be Scoop Up Netted later on, but...
Yep, there we see the play. Evolve into the VMAX. Now it's an evolved Pokemon, so you can Cheryl, heal off all the damage. It's like a Max Potion or Pokemon Center, if people have been around that long. See the Scoop Up Net. Gonna throw that back in the active spot, so it's met the condition for Gale Thrust. It's been on the bench, moved to the active spot. But it's only gonna be 180 damage, which is not nearly enough to take out the Arceus V-Star. So maybe setting up for future plays. But again, that Charon's Care could be the difference if Parker's holding on to it.
Yep, that was one of the cards that he grabbed immediately off Starbirth, just thinking ahead. What, 3 turns now from that turn, it looks like? And it's just a high-level play there, just understanding that this is going to be a crucial piece in the game.
Another shady dealings here from Tord, just trying to plan through the next couple turns. This is where things get complicated. You may not be taking something for this turn, but may have to take something for the following turn, but you don't know what your opponent's going to do yet. We see him eyeing up several different options. Palpad is going to be the choice. Perhaps just putting the Cheryl back in the deck, so you can go do another turn of healing. Also got to keep track of how many scoop up nets Tord has gone through. That's a crucial resource as you reach the late stages of the game. I know he's probably gone through at least 2 at this point. But one of the ways you can keep resetting for Gale Thrust is you get the Tower of Waters to retreat, then you send up something, and then you scoop up net.
Looks like we are done with a bit of this Sobble line. Want to keep a bench space open. Makes you start thinking about cards like Metacham eventually.
Definitely. We are going to see the Pal Pad. Probably shuffle in Cheryl and the Raihan would be my guess.
Yeah, both cards very strong. Cheryl is the reason why you are not going to lose the game. Of course, Parker already at 3 prize cards remaining, so any damage that sticks onto this Urshifu VMAX has to be terrifying.
Yep. Yeah, that's where shuffling the Raihan in is even a question of if you want to do it, right? This could come down to if Parker's only knockout is the VMAX, the game ends, so you may not even get an opportunity to play the Raihan.
Yep. Tord did grab the discard pile of Parker's a turn or 2 ago. I believe he did see the 1 boss's orders in there, so maybe just thinking eventually you might have to attack into one of these other Pokemon. Maybe I'll find that turn.
180.
All right, you're 180, the boosted damage thanks to the Choice Belt. And I think we're going to see Tord shake his head a little bit here as we see the Charon's Care come down from Parker. Going to heal off all that damage, all that hard work, and now you can see Tord kind of tapping his fingers there, saying that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yep, we didn't draw that one up. Of course, the Cheryl is nice as an answer here, but this you also have to do an attack, and it just feels like Tord's 1 turn behind once again, just trying to fight back and keep up with 180 go.
This is tough. I mean, if you had access to, like, if you had your entire deck in your hand, you could craft a situation here where you can win the game, but I don't know if Tord has, like, the raw resources at this point to pull off what he needs to. So I think this is a turn where you want to start looking at Yoga Loop if you can, but with having to evolve here, I don't think you can.
Yeah, that slows that down a little bit. It's going to just be the 1 quick shooting happening. So you can set that up for a future turn. You also need to get out of the active position because this is a horrible place to be right now.
Yeah, I know Tord has the Tower of Waters in hand, so easy way to get that out of the active spot. I don't see Scoop Up Net.
Yeah, there were a lot used in the early game trying to get set up here.
Yep, and that's going to make things way more challenging. If I had to guess how this is going to end, we're going to see the late game Gormandize.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the Sobble, I was surprised, and then it went back in. I'm like, yeah, it looks like Snorlax time, absolutely.
Okay. Do have 1 quick shooting Intellion out here now. Got to think that's going to start going after the Dunsparce.
Yes.
And there is the Tower of Waters.
Run away.
Sending out that Snorlax. And once again, we see the Cheryl healing off all that damage. And will we see another Sobble come down, or does he have to keep the bench spot open for Metacham?
Yeah, it looks like Metacham is the thought. Of course, boss's orders would probably go after the Urshifu VMAX, so maybe feels comfortable here now with the Metacham.
A quick reload. 6 cards drawn off the Gormandize, but the turn does end. Parker does have a boss's orders in hand.
Oh boy.
You know, a boss's orders plus a counter stadium to strand the Urshifu active could be devastating. Could also just see a plain old Marnie, and that's going to be the choice. That's what's gotten Parker here to the finals. Disruption with Marnie and crushing hammers. Why not stick with your strategy?
Yeah, especially after Gorman dies, that's probably one of the best things that you can do to your opponent. We haven't seen the crushing hammers coming down just yet, but this is an opportunity where maybe that would be impactful, and sure enough.
It's always heads, Kyles.
There it is. Yep.
Always heads for Parker.
He knows what he's doing.
It's on a run of a lifetime here. Almost used Primate Wisdom to put the research on top, but you are going to have to shuffle your deck after the Trinity Nova, so
Good catch.
Wouldn't work out very well here.
For a second, I was thinking, let's just leave the Snorlax in the active spot. There's no more scoop-up nets, and he's just stuck forever. But there is a Bird Keeper.
Bird Keeper, yeah.
Yep, so almost, though. And maybe could have played a wild finish.
All right, so now Parker is down to 2 prize cards. This game is not over by any means. But that Marnie may have disrupted Tord's hand, and there's no Octillery on board. There's the Primate Wisdom, so Tord may have prepared for this, but no, he used Gorman dies, so who knows what he drew off of this. Just sends up Medicham. It does a free retreat thanks to the tower. I think Tord's got to find a Rapid Strike energy here.
Yep. Maybe there is some potential thinning before Oranguru.
It's an Ultra Ball. Probably just going to grab a Sobble. Doesn't have very many cards to work with. Yeah, I'm not sure what you grab if it's not
Yeah.
a Sobble here, and I think you just kind of cross your fingers that the Oranguru bails you out and you find that Rapid Strike energy. Just going to Ultra Ball for Octillery.
Likely the card that will be Primate Wisdomed.
Don't know what the other cards in Tord's hand are, if he has any sort of draw supporter or anything like that.
I think he has a boss and a dark energy.
Not the greatest.
So those don't do it for me. Oh boy. Big monkey.
Sure is. Got 1 card on top, and that Crushing Hammer once again was huge because the basic energy would have been Yoga Loop time.
Evolution Incense is not the time. Medicham could take some damage here.
That's so risky. You just
It
lose
feels
to
really
the choice
bad.
belt.
Yeah.
You also know that you're not drawing a good card on your next turn. So you got to make sure that Oranguru stays around. You can Evolution Incense and shuffle your deck. Yep. I think you have to go for that.
Yeah. Potentially thin out one more, grab the Drizzile. Maybe this is a turn where you take advantage of the Towers of Water and go hide to Inteleon with Shady Dealings just to give a prize card you don't mind losing.
Yeah, there were actually a good number of outs for Tord off the Primate Wisdom. Not just the Rapid Strike energy, but Raihan would have been a good one. Any of those supporter cards like the Bird Keeper could have been ways to draw into additional cards. Sonya probably wouldn't have been that great, but it was another thing. And yeah, still need to see the quick shooting here. Going to send up the Inteleon to just take the knockout here, or to take the hit to be knocked out. Because yeah, if Tord could take a knockout here with that, that would be great.
I'd like that. That'd be something. Oh.
And all right, I think that's just going to be Tord's turn. The Marnie devastating for Tord. You know, he left himself with no Sobble in play, no Drizzile in play, and just was at the mercy of the 4 cards from the Marnie.
Well, Quick Ball could potentially grab a card like Luminion in this situation.
Very true. Luminion does have the Crobat V, could go digging a little bit deeper.
Looks like this hand could be completely discarded if he wanted to.
Yeah, obviously this would be a nice turn to win if you're Parker, but looking long term, you don't have to win this turn. There's no threat of you losing on the next turn, so I think Parker taking a very smart, kind of conservative line here. Oh, gonna go for, whoa, tails on a crushing hammer.
That's unheard of.
But just kind of taking a more conservative route, using Professor's research here, drawing into some cards, knowing that next turn, I just need to draw boss's orders to win.
Yep, play as many cards as you can. Get yourself in a situation where that is likely. Ultra Ball, of course,
And
placed back on top, so in the hand now.
yep, putting that on top to have access to Luminion V for the next turn. And I would guess we will not see Path to the Peak played down either.
Abilities are cool.
Trinity Nova.
Just excellent play from Parker, understanding the situation, knowing what the paths to victory are. And Tord is under the gun here, needs to find some way to claw back into this game, but has Parker just closed it out? We can see a Yoga Loop for sure. Well, I guess that's not even for sure. He needs to draw an energy.
We can see a knockout for sure. Quick shooting, I guess, but this has to be monkey time, right?
Yeah, he drew an energy for the turn, so we can see the Yoga Loop. That will get you one extra turn. But can you do anything after that? We know that in Tord's prize cards, there is a Clara and a Cynthia's Ambition. Both of those can allow him to just draw some additional resources. Primate Wisdom first, putting Drizzile on top. Drawing Sonia. Not the worst. Definitely going to see that played.
Yeah.
One other great thing Parker has done is made his bench kind of boss's orders proof. Got air balloons everywhere, got energy everywhere, so there's no potential opportunity for Tord to stall for a turn either with the boss's orders. So Parker's just covering all the angles, trying to figure out what can you do to possibly win this game. And from where I'm sitting, I think Parker has covered pretty much everything. Yes, Tord is going to get an extra turn with the Yoga Loop. He's going to go down to 3 prize cards. But what does he do next? He can't take 3 prize cards on the next turn because of Mana Fee. So we're just going to see quick shooting onto the Mana Fee. See the Yoga Loop, and then the big question is, which prize does Tord want? There's the Clara and the Ambition. Clara was the choice.
Yep.
So the way Yoga Loop works, your opponent skips their next turn, you get to take another one. So that means he can play supporter cards again, he can attach energy again, it's a whole new turn.
Clara could find that fighting energy, which is going to be a fantastic way to remove this Arceus V-Star from play. You could see quick shooting come down onto the Mana Fee and at least have something lined up in terms of a knockout on the following turn. The problem is Parker doesn't want there to be a following turn.
Exactly, so Clara is really the only choice for Tord on this turn. A lot of energy cards have hit the discard pile. Thanks to Crushing Hammer, among other things. Going to go ahead and get back those 2 fighting energy and a Drizzile. And Tord's going to do his best to battle out of this situation. But there's really only one question. Does Parker have a boss's orders?
That is what Tord is thinking. Of course, that's in the back of his mind this entire time. He's going to continue to play it out and make sure that he has everything available in terms of a way to close out on this following turn. But time and time again, we've seen Tord just a step behind as Parker has found these really optimal draws and, of course, been covering all of his bases by making sure that he's going to have every answer lined up.
The Primate Wisdom, putting the Drizzile on top of the deck. Tord has not used quick shooting yet this turn. I got to think that'll go towards the Mana Fee. And you can see what the line to victory is here. A quick shooting. Ooh.
Forgot.
Oh, also the Dunsparce is gone, so the Gale Thrust does take the knockout on Arceus V-Star. So there it is.
Oh boy.
The boss's orders, the same way it happened in day one. Game-winning boss's orders for Parker. And he is your regional champion here in Vancouver.
Oh yeah, he is loving his moment right now. That is what working 2 days and 14 rounds, a top 8, a top 4, and a finals, 4 games toward Reklev is going to look like. And congratulations to both of these players in what was really a fantastic finals here for us.
Definitely. What more can you ask for? Just back and forth action. Tord trying to claw his way back into another game where he was behind. Almost got there again, but Parker, just like on day